Therefore, be sure to subscribe to the channel, put a bell, subscribe to the Telegram channel, and of course let's go. So that's why I'm talking about the average age right now. Look at what situation we have now on the capitalization of altcoins. And the capitalization of altcoins, we have a medium-term PATA, here it is. Who does not know what the average term is? We have to average terms. 1 quarter, 2 quarters, that is, in fact, it is until the end of the year. Keep in mind that not a single candle in one day for these coins, which I am telling you today, will be this very growth, not this minute. The medium-term forecast needs to be understood. So why exactly medium-term? Because we have a pattern that we have already broken through now, and there is no confirmation yet, there is no retest. Literally, this retest has just begun, but nevertheless, as soon as we receive confirmation, it means that the capitalization of altcoins will go to the zone of 440 billion. Again, the average terms are not for 1 day, not for 1 hour during a quarter or two. Therefore, based on this, I am now doing an overview of the average terms for some altcoin. So the first coin is an atom. Why the atom coin does not grow for many are wondering. Of course, the atom coin we have is quite an interesting coin. The coin of the atom we have is in fact, yes, in the flat cryptozyme, which we have already been trading, if anything, since May of the 22nd year. Imagine for 3 years we have been trading this very fat, and the same thing happens for many coins. So who is it for? Here's for those who talk about the alt season. Yes, there was an alt season for some coins, but for many coins we didn't have it good enough. For example, the atom coin. Why is the atom coin, well, quite weak, so to speak, growing? Because she has some problems related to the token atom itself. It is poorly involved in the economy of most zones. Often it is possible to use just Cosmos, but not to use the atom coin. But nevertheless, Cosmos plays an important role in the architecture of Web3, especially as a technological base. For example, the Dudux version 4 is built on the Cosmos STRK and so on. And token, of course, is holding on to such fairly confident positions now, then 50. I think that in this case the 56th place in this case is quite good, but nevertheless she has some problems. Of course, the token is more suitable for patient investors counting on the technological recognition of the ecosystem. In other words, this is not some kind of hype coin that will grow there by some X's in a day. But nevertheless, the project is quite good. It means that I personally expect from him. First of all, we don't actually have such a good downtrend on the coin. This trend, if we draw in this case, we have very few points on the right side of H, and whoever studied with me for training knows. But nevertheless, it is possible to twist it as a pattern. In this case, you can connect it in this way, and we see that we had an exit, and now there is a retest of the exit from this pattern. That is confirmation. And what should happen now? And in confirmation. What is confirmation in general? Confirmation at least is the absorption of the previous candles, that is, with one candle, and in this case, if there is an absorption of this zone right here, it will be very, very good. Then you can already rely on a local downtrend, which will give a breakdown and, of course, a medium-term direction for the price of coins. Personally, well, at least I would certainly wait here, of course, that, and we have $14–18 for the previous zone. Well, as for this maximum possible zone so far, after all, we have a slightly weak market right now. This is, of course, the zone of $20 and $21 here. And let's get there. Let's see how he will retest this zone after that, and then we will look further. In principle, the coin is quite good, but why not up to $20 if it's still aha? You can say 4.5x. I think he's pretty good, yes, in the current realities. Now let's look at the STRK coin. Many have wondered why STRK is such a sluggish current STRK moment. Here's a look, if we compare it with a coin. Now I'm going to tell you a very important moment on the signet. Who does not know what it is, look right now. there will be a straight bomb. Look, let's say an atom for a coin, yes. And as for the price, as for capitalization. But there was a printing press literally in the 21st year, but in general, it did not greatly affect the price of inflation itself, yes, the inflation model. So if we look at this STRK, we immediately take a sip and turn on the printing press. We see that in this case he is this peak, he was at the level of the peak, so this is the peak itself. That is, at this peak, technically we reached $2.50. So it turns out that we had a coin printed 3.5 times. In other words, the inflationary model ate up the price 3.5 times. That is, for those who hold the STRKnet coin, I will say right away, there are, of course, reasons for it. And the problem of lack of growth, a huge amount of unlocked tokens. This is the main one, this is the main problem with the current market, and the lack of growth in my coin will start it. And that's just, just 31% of the coin's turnover. That is, there is also a printing press that can last up to 100%, so that you understand. That is, the coin can still be printed. Well, there's a lot of coins that can be printed right there. Only the economy is weak, investors and teams have received a large share. At the same time, the utility token is not fully implemented. It needs to be understood that, well, for what the coin itself is needed, the model is not yet fully implemented. This slow adaptation itself. She has a slow adaptation, of course, but nevertheless the growth prospects for the coin Statnik is one of the most promising roll-up projects with support from STRK BP and the company Fashion. Of course, if there are mass DPS, then of course this token can grow quite cleverly, but so far, unfortunately, there are no such HDS. And we add up the result. It turns out that we have no unlocking of Tolkien's utility. There are actually no ads there. That is, the coin itself is still yes. It may be needed in the future, but so far it is not there. Therefore, in this case, in such a market, the coin rolls down. Let me delete all of this and see what we can have from a technical point of view on a coin. Again, in the medium term, but it is necessary to follow the fundamental news on the coin. And as for the utility of tokens, there are dips and so on, and of course, for the entire market. And this is the pattern we are drawing now, but the only thing missing here is the third touch from above. This is where one touch is missing, and one touch is actually missing from the bottom, but in any case, there will be a way out of this pattern. So there will be in any case. My opinion is, if you compare the Atom coin and the STRKnet, yes, the Atom coin is old, but there are still more prospects there. There are still more technologies than the current STRKnet. On the current ones, it is in the average terms until the end of the year. Perhaps STRK will not be interesting, but there, let's say in a year or two, he will be better than an Atom. But even now I'm taking until the end of the year, and so far I don't really pin any prospects on her. Let's see how the market will develop, and exactly how Bitcoin will grow, in general, the entire crypto market. What we will have according to the background news there, we will already estimate. But so far I don't see any such good prospects right now. But nevertheless, I mean that touching the upper border in any case, if the market turns around and flies up, in any case will not remain on the sidelines. There will be some X's, but nevertheless, yes, from the current to the level of 30 cents, and this is a touch of a downtrend. Which, by the way, is 2.5 X's, too, not bad. Therefore, on the whole, speculatively, I would trade them, but in the average time so far, well, I would not hold much. That's what I would say. So by BERA chain. Let's take a look. Quite an interesting coin, which definitely showed us some pumps last time, but now we see that our coin is rolling down. Literally tried to enter it twice, went in twice, then went out into a small profit, again for HAP. Went out into a small profit again, and that's it, and left it and did not enter again. See, the coin started to roll. What should I do now? It is necessary, of course, in order for the coin to turn around, of course it is necessary to revive the entire crypto market. With some background news. Let's say the Fed's rate will be on the 7th, and of course, they can change something in the rate. I'm not going to say now. And they will change it, and they will. Let's wait and see, and the situation may change for the better, of course. Anyway, what the hell is chain? Of course, token is still, token is officially still not in his positions, of course, where he should be. Of course, the popularity, let's say, where what he is doing now is exactly one of the most anticipated Player 1 projects. He was with a unique model of liquidate professionals, can become a popular portfolio for Delphi. Delphi 3.0. Of course, in this case, you need to understand that the coin is quite good in the future, but if you take some long-term moments, it is long-term. Take a look. So if we take a printing press, we see that we don't have them yet. Airfields, of course, pressed the price, of course they got what they got, suppressed the price. And early investors continue to fix some of their positions. It's clear that the market is such that it's a little dangerous to keep, but nevertheless. So why did I take it exactly in the middle term? I personally haven't bought it yet, namely in the review why did I take it? Because in fact, according to the splits, well, there's basically enough, 15% of the total capitalization of the coin is quite a good moment, but the most important moment is myself. So February of the 26th year, that is, until February of the 26th year, I am sure that there will be some one of the pumps on this coin, so that perhaps some large investors, large holders will come out of this coin into a good plus. This often happens, before the coins are unlocked, they show a significant increase, that is, before the 26th year. Keep in mind 60% of the coins will be unlocked, and the 26th year is already in fact, if we take the cyclicity. This is already the beginning of the sunset of this cycle, and the transition to crypto winter. In other words, it's not a very good place, it's not a very good time, spring is also not a very good period, we know ourselves. Something always happens in spring. The crown of Slay last year. Things didn't go so smoothly this year either. That is, spring is such a time, so until spring from the 26th year, until February of the 26th year, I would keep it. And then of course I would not keep it at all, and would not buy it at all. So, in this case, of course, you need to look at the entire market, the entire crypto market, of course, at the background news. What will happen with Bitcoin, and so on, and already make decisions on, let's say, a BERA coin. I haven't entered yet. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, put a bell. I often shoot a review about it, because I want to fly into it myself, because it can give X's even in a short time. It's quite interesting, as it was, let's say in this place, but you need to understand that in any case you can expect something from it, even short-term some excels. I will definitely take off my shorts, so if I go into this coin, so watch the video. So far, in the long run, I'm not going anywhere on it in the average time, but in the next videos, I'll update the information on it. As soon as we have some kind of reversal after this correction, which is now going on with a market maker and a big token holder. Here he is draining right now, and you can see by the candles, see what candles, there is a systematic fixation of the position. So